We're speaking with Dr. Peter McCullough. Yeah, that doctor, the one that's the hero, that, you know, the one I saw on YouTube, and you probably did too before they tried to pull him down. And also with John Leake, who wrote this incredible book that tells the story of what happened in COVID-19. And we've learned that there were treatments that many quality physicians around the country were using successfully, but the medical establishment refused to actually implement that as a strategy. And as a result, lots of people died. We called it a true crime, maybe negligent homicide or worse. Could it possibly? It sounds like a conspiracy. It sounds like, why would you stop? You're one of the most best-known physicians in Texas, in the United States, but particularly in Dallas. I mean, you're the guy that you'd read. You get the airline magazine, you know, top physician. There you were at the top of your hospital and so forth. Was there a conspiracy involved here?
I think initially it was fear. Doctors were gripped in fear. We had reports out of Italy where some Italian doctors had died, elderly doctors. We don't know the context. But I think initially, listening to all the conference calls that we had on pandemic response, do you know most of them were about personal protective equipment, masks, locking down, reverse ventilation? None of them were about treating patients. So actually, most of the conversation early was, how do we protect ourselves? People were thinking about themselves, not the patients.
I would argue that within a certain stratum of pandemic planning and execution, it was a conspiracy. And I say this not presenting a theory. The evidence is clear. The clearest piece of evidence of an organized conspiracy is the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innovations preliminary business plan. This was an institution founded by the Gates Foundation and the World Economic Forum.
Gates, like Bill Gates.
Correct. Mm-hmm. Okay. And the business plan that was published in early 2017 by CEPI, that's CEPI, states it's like a prospectus for its investors, another pandemic is coming, not a matter of if, just a matter of when. And when it does, CEPI proposes a 100% vaccine solution.
Wait, before we've had a pandemic.
Well, I mean, the claim is that emerging infectious diseases, they pop up from time to time.
Well, that's true.
So the assumption is it will be a respiratory viral illness, and the solution will be a rapidly developed vaccine solution. And if you read CEPI's preliminary business plan, there's not a word mentioned about treatment. So I believe as an investigative starting point, if you look at that business plan and you look at some of these pandemic planning simulations like Johns Hopkins University Event 201, you see this was an arrangement, a plan, a battle plan that was going to be executed when we get the next pandemic, and the solution will be 100% in the most monolithic way a vaccine solution.
Which is frightening because, number one, you said there are effective treatments that you could use at various stages, and there are drugs that exist that are already approved that we could use for that. But two, I remember as a kid, they said there's this big new thing called swine flu and we're all going to have to go take shots. And I hated shots. And I did everything. And I was so glad when I read in Time magazine how they decided to stop that vaccination program. But here they're pre-planning, and vaccinations didn't work in 1918 or whenever the Spanish flu was either.
Well, think of the von Schlieffen plan for World War I. So the German General Staff, von Schlieffen being one of the biggest planners, he had a plan. He said, war is coming with France. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. They're still sullen about losing the Franco-Prussian War in 1872. When it comes, this is the plan. And so I think you have to look at this hypothetical pandemic is like a hypothetical war. And when it comes, there's going to be military discipline in executing the plan that we already have in place. And anyone that gets in the way of it is going to be squashed.